Hi, everybody. It is Region Weather Meteorologist Matt Wintz. It is Tuesday evening now, about 5:39 local time. So again, if you're watching this video on our Facebook page or web page a little bit later, keep in mind some of the data might be out of date, especially in terms of the radar stuff. So what we're dealing with tonight, we've got a severe thunderstorm watch out for the west. I would include our region in it, but you know what? We'll see what happens. I think they're waiting to see what happens with this line of storms. But a pretty decent line of storms will continue to track east as we get throughout the evening and a little bit south as well. We're watching it coming in from northern Illinois and Chicago, and that area of storms will likely breeze through the region. There's no hopes that this thing's going to die out. This is definitely going to move in. The big question is, how strong is it, and what kind of results do we get, and where is the most intense part of this line when it moves in? So now that we have a couple of people on here, we'll let some more people join as they get notifications. We'll run our intro video, and then we'll dive into the details on this severe weather potential as of this Tuesday evening. All right, and welcome in, everybody. Meteorologist Matt Wintz with you. Obviously, we've got yet another day of tropical weather. Boy, was it hot today as well. Temperatures well up in the 90s, felt like the triple digits at times. This is definitely a murky tropical air mass that's just ready to get going with some showers and thunderstorms. And we've seen a couple trying to get going over the last couple hours, but the bulk of this is going to be off towards the west. Want to say hi to Caitlin. Hi, Jan. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Terry. Jennifer, hi. Terry, hello. Gregory, hi. Diana, Deb, Peter, thanks for joining us. Ken asking when humidity drops this weekend. Ken, I think you're really going to like it. We've got a air mass changing front that's going to move in here this weekend. It's going to be great. Hi, Christopher. Hi, Brenda. And Darlene in from Portage. Hello, Darlene. And hi, Krista. All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this, shall we? This is going to be kind of quick. I don't have a lot of graphics to show you, but we have a lot to say kind of about those graphics. First one, you'll recognize this. This is the radar. This also has overlaid on it. You see those rainbow colors. I love to show this. This is the amount of energy in the atmosphere, right? How easy is it for a cloud to go up and form a strong updraft and become a big thunderstorm, right? These numbers today are the highest of the year. They're some of the highest that I've seen on a map anywhere. We call that CAPE. It's convective available potential energy. Big word, right? But if you've been with me long enough, we've taught you that that is the juju or the energy in the atmosphere. How unstable is it up above us, right? These numbers, if we measure on a chart, anything over about 2,500 to about 4,000, that's called extremely unstable, right? Up to 4,000. Okay, 4,000. We've got numbers today about 5,500. Okay, so it's off the chart. Basically, you go outside and go poof, and you'll form a cloud and a thunderstorm. It's that easy. So we've got just a massive amount of instability to work with right now. And the matter was, do we get these storms going? If you can get them to start rising, then, you know, it's off to the limits. And that's what's happened back here. So you can see the storms that have developed across areas of eastern Iowa. Just a testament to how unstable it is. We had a thunderstorm that developed in eastern Iowa. In 15 minutes, it started to form, obviously, lightning, but then they had 1-inch diameter hail, which to form hail, you need ice crystals to be going up and down inside the cloud kind of violently, right? And that happened in 15 minutes. So that's how fast these storms can develop this afternoon and heading on into the evening. So what's our main concern here, right? Well, it's obviously this big line of storms off towards the west. Models bring it through northwest Indiana. They bring some additional convection in the beginning of it as well. But bottom line, depending on what model you're looking at, these storms are heading our way. We can expect some heavy rain, and the main threat from this tonight is not tornadoes. That's good, right? There's still a baby threat for tornadoes, but the main threat's damaging winds with this, especially as this cluster develops further. We tend to get what's called a cold pool with it. So you get enough rain in the backside of it that it cools the air, right? That cool air is heavy and dense and it sinks, and that often pushes out and really helps the thunderstorm complex to not only move, but to sustain itself. So if that develops, that will likely develop a large ribbon of damaging winds on the leading edge. Questions I still have. I know this thing's in Western Illinois now, right? The models are no help with this pattern. We already identified that the last couple of days. But questions I have is, how do we get affected here in the region, right? It looks like it's going to head through southern Wisconsin. They'll have severe weather there. Northern Illinois will likely continue with a severe streak, but what happens when it gets to the region? That's the big question. I do think we can plan for some heavy rain. I do think we have a threat of some damaging winds later on this evening. So that's kind of my gut, is saying that we do get hit by this. How bad will it be when it gets here? We'll have to wait and see how that line behaves as it moves east. Until then, you can see there's been a little activity trying to fire up in advance of that. I would expect that to continue. You could see some downpours now southwest side of Chicago now out in advance. None of that will be severe. It's mainly this big line that's moving in that will be. But you have to watch some of these cells on that leading edge, because they can, as they're heading a different direction, they can produce some quick spin up tornadoes with that as well. Not a huge threat, as I mentioned, but something that we're going to need to watch as this line pushes on in. So what does the modeling do with it? Well, first let's talk timing, because I'm sure everyone wants to know the time. I see a couple of you asking on there about the timing of that. I think 8 to 9 o'clock ought to do it. We're still about an hour and a half out. We may see, actually about 2.5 hours out, we may see some downpours out in advance of that, but I think this main line, it's moving east around 30, 35, and it's moving southeast around 30. So timing that out, that brings it in here around 8 o'clock, maybe towards 9 o'clock, depending on how it evolves. So we've still got a little bit of time with that. Let's look at the modeling, though. Here's the HRRR. It's the best model I could find. You'll get 20 different solutions this time of year. It's just, roll the dice on where these storms go, right? But you can see as we go through time, I think the HRRR is overdoing this activity here, right? Because we don't really have that right now. It's back towards Chicago. But as this line moves in, you can see how it develops further, that stuff that's on the western Illinois right now that's going to be moving in. But you can see as we go through time, that whole line kind of hits us pretty good here in the region. Heavy rain is a concern with this as well. There's a copious amount of moisture up there. You feel it outside. It's just thick and humid. And then damaging winds, again, will be that risk that I'm really watching for this evening. But as we go through time, you can see how it evolves. It kind of moves through and then just kind of sits. And that would be a flood risk for much of the area if that were to happen. So flooding, damaging winds, heavy rain, lots of lightning with this. Those are the main concerns. It's not Armageddon. We're not all going to experience all the severe weather. But again, those are our threats tonight. We can always characterize what threats we'll be dealing with thunderstorms, and that's it tonight, okay? So we'll have updates as we go throughout the evening. I've got 2.5 more newscasts to knock out, so I'll knock those out. We'll post some updates as needed, but that's kind of where we're going with this. I'm just seeing some of the last questions. A lot of you asking about what about my town? I think this stands an equal chance at hitting the entire region. If I had to put a higher risk on it, Lake County, you're furthest north and west. Porter, Newton counties would be next, and then LaPorte, Stark, and Jasper counties. I think you would stand the lesser chance of seeing this activity. But again, I think everyone's going to get it. I saw a question on there in terms of Indianapolis. I think this gets down to Indy. If you look at the modeling, and I would agree with this, that's why I'm showing you this model. See how it all moves through. Indy doesn't get it this evening, but they get it tomorrow. You can see how that boundary kind of lays out down to the south, and then more storms likely follow along that during the day. So I think Indy stands more of an overnight and early morning risk as that boundary settles down to the south. But certainly good question there as well. Maxwell asking, is severe weather season almost over? It's not. Severe weather season is really year round, but this pattern that we're in will likely wind down late August, early September, where we kind of go into doldrums weather-wise. But this is developing because we've got that serious dome of heat, which is very August-like, and then you get these storms that develop where that August-like heat meets cooler air to the north, and that's what we're seeing right now. Yes, and Courtney, thanks for answering that. I saw Faith was asking for timeline on that. I think 8 to 9 o'clock. So right now it's almost 6. I would give this another hour and a half to maybe 2 hours before it moves in. But keep in mind, that's the main line I'm talking about. There is some development on the leading edge of that could bring some rain into Northwest Indiana before that. But the bulk of it, I think the biggest severe threat would be probably in an hour and a half to 2 hours from now. And that's just timing it out, looking at it, okay? Yeah, Faith, bedtime for sure. Okay. All right, guys, we'll let you go for now. Again, that's what we're dealing with. We'll keep our eye on the radar off towards the north and the west. Damaging winds would be the primary threat, and I think flooding will take over after that if this thing kind of settles in the region. Hopefully we can get it through. We can get some much-needed rain out of it, and we'll go from there. All right? So we'll stay in touch this evening, I promise. And until then, stay safe, everybody. Enjoy the humidity.